On the last Friday of March, the historians brought to me 10 yellow lights, 9 parked cars, 8 status indicators, 7 restaurant customers, 6 space cadets, 5 semi-lights, oh god, that was bad, 4 possible suspects, 3 roller skaters, 2 Monacos, and only 1 Michael Knight. You can thank me later for not singing that whole thing.
Next, has KITT found the world's most notorious computer thief?
As far as I can tell, he's...
Uh-oh. There's trouble on Knight Rider.
Production 57331. Nobody Does It Better. This episode was written by David Braff and directed by Harvey Laidman. It originally aired Friday night on NBC at 9 p.m. on April 29th, 1983. It was filmed from February 23rd through March 4th of 1983. It is the 20th episode to be produced and the 20th episode to air. Let's dig in. The episode synopsis reads as follows. Michael works to uncover the person responsible for stealing development secrets from a fledgling computer company. We move inside to Delton Micronics and meet Elliot Stevens, played by Robert Ginty. We talked to Robert back in 2002, I believe, and he had nothing but fond memories. He got this part because he was good friends with Harvey Laidman, the director, and Harvey asked him to come in and do the part, and he did. He appeared in a number of classic 80s shows, Falcon Crest, Murder, She Wrote, Matlock. He was also in an episode of Baywatch Nights where he reunited with David Hasselhoff, which was kind of cool. He unfortunately passed away in 2009 at the age of 60. So let's take a minute and look at Elliot's office. So he has some kind of cool things, and as president of a video game company, we kind of expect him to. So he's got Jungle Hunt by Taito, which was, this arcade unit was released in 1982. We've got a poster for The Fix, the band, The Fix, and this is from their Shuttered Room 1982 tour poster. And actually, if you look across the bottom, it says city, venue, date, which is kind of cool. And of course, The Fix would, lend their song One Thing Leads to Another in the Season 2 episode Custom Kit. And we also see another poster right here, which, let's look a little closer, Joe Carrasco and the Crowns. This is also from 1982. This is their album Synapse Gap, and Joe Carrasco was known as the king of Tex-Mex rock and roll. So Elliot Stevens has quite an interesting collection of interests, I suppose you could say. Moving on, he walks around his office, and we also get a quick glimpse of this Alpine ski arcade unit, also by Taito. This one was released a year prior in 1981, so maybe they had some kind of a product placement tie-in with Taito, I don't know. And one of my favorites growing up, Q*bert by Gottlieb. So this arcade game was developed in 1982 as well, not by Taito, but by Gottlieb. Now we move over to Bonnie playing a video game in KITT in the Semi. And now it's your turn. I want you to tell me in the comments below what game this is. Some of you who were around in the 80s probably played this game. I know I did. Let me know in the comments below. Let's see how many people know what this is. We then zoom out to see both TVs are playing the same game, I guess to make it like a 3D effect. I don't know. But this always bothered me. The film was distorted in this one scene. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see the power auto normal buttons, and then they're cut off, and there's this other bit of film down here that just doesn't make any sense. It almost looks like the 35 millimeter film was, off the reel, or something weird happened here. Now this one, I'm embarrassed to say I don't know. Take a look at this controller here. What is this from, guys? I did some Google searches and I couldn't find this exact one. There's actually a pistol handle down below that we'll see Michael holding in a minute. So it's not just this box with this little knob on top. There's actually a grip on the bottom that can be held. And you can see Patricia is kind of holding it a little bit down there. What is this from? Let me know in the comments below. Might be neat to add to a KITT replica. And now we see, whenever it cuts back to the screens, we can see that the screens are, the frame is fixed again. The whole picture is down further, and we see the top of the dash, and there's no distortion there. So it was just for that one brief segment that we saw that issue. Let's talk about Devon's Mercedes for a minute. We've mentioned it briefly in previous episodes, but I think it deserves a bit more. It was a then brand new 1982 Mercedes-Benz 380 SL, which was produced from 1980 through 1985. We first see the car in No Big Thing from Season 1, where Officer Saunders famously busts out its taillight on it. In this first appearance, the optional hard-shell roof was removed and the ragtop is up. The car is red with a black leather interior. It has a California colored license plate of 288 BAG, but there's no California text on it. It then returns again in Chariot of Gold later in the first season, this time with the soft top down to transport Devon and Bonnie to Helios. It appears to still be the same car as used previously. Now it wears a blue California license plate of 1ES9885. The third appearance of Devon's Mercedes occurs in Whitebird, although now we see that the Mercedes hard roof shell, which came as a standard accessory with all 380 SLs, was installed. We don't see the license plate in this episode. A couple of episodes later, we see the Mercedes yet again, albeit briefly, in Nobody Does It Better. All of these appearances thus far appear to be the same vehicle. We also don't get a good look at the license plate in this episode. There's no front plate on it, and the rear one is illegible due to the angle of filming. So now Devon's Mercedes is absent for pretty much all of Season 2, except for some stock footage of the foundation in which it's parked outside. It reappears in Season 3's Knights of the Fast Lane in its convertible form, but this is not the same car we saw previously. This new 380 SL features a camel tan interior, much like KITT has. It features the white California license plate of 1DN1489. We then see this new Mercedes yet again in Halloween Night, still with C mode activated, but now it has the white California license plate of 1BH0934. Its final appearance in the series is in Season 4's Night Sting, with RC3 behind the wheel. Still in ragtop form, and still wearing the same license plate we saw in Halloween Night. These two 380 SLs were most likely sent back to Mercedes after they were finished on Knight Rider and sold as a used vehicle. Do you own a red 1982 380 SL? Well, it could be the real ones they used for filming. So there's your history lesson on Devon's Mercedes. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So Devon is arriving with Michael in his Mercedes, and he pulls up to the semi, and then somehow he comes out of this back door as if there was an exterior door back there. And I know it's all movie magic, but that whole segment does not make sense at all. And look, we can still see, we mentioned this a few episodes ago, we can still see National Geographic laying here. So apparently Devon was an avid reader. I think you guys identified the issue that was on the previous episode from, I don't know, a decade or so before that episode aired. So I'm not sure what issue this is, but if you guys want to do some research and figure it out, go for it. Also, something neat to point out. So this unit, we call it the Boomerang Unit. This piece was rented from a company called Modern Props, which we've talked about before. They actually had two of these units with different controllers on it. Only one was ever used for Knight Rider. In the second season, when they redid the interior of the semi, they did not redo this. They just put, they put that fake wood paneling all over the interior of the semi. They just boxed this in for season 2 onward. But we had a chance at the 2012 Knight Rider reunion. This exact prop was rented, and we had a great time to see it up close. And it's really a fascinating piece of fake electronics. So here we can see a little bit better how Bonnie is holding this grip I was talking about down below. See how she has her hand down here and her other one's holding the box at the top. After receiving information for his latest mission, Michael leaves the semi, and one thing to note, this is one of the extremely rare times that they use the hero car to back out of the semi. Normally they would use a stunt car, something that they wouldn't worry about getting damaged. But because the semi was stationary, it wasn't moving down the road, they felt comfortable enough to use the hero car because it was a simple back down a ramp and turn around. And we of course know this is the hero car because we get a glimpse of the dash. We can see the CRTs in there. This was the only car that had that dash. And it's raining again. We talked to Harvey Laidman, again the director of this episode, many years ago, and he made a note that about the rain and how it was just terrible working in the rain, and it spoiled the wardrobe, the hair, the makeup, and it just made everything move a little bit slower, which is to be expected. And again, very rare in Knight Rider to have a rainy filming day. Here's Tony Dow, who played Julian Groves in this episode. We also talked to him many years ago. He mentioned, years ago, he would always run into David Hasselhoff on the Universal Studios set because, Hasselhoff was filming Knight Rider. He was filming the new Leave It to Beaver. So one day his agent called and said that he had an appointment with the Knight Rider people and went in, auditioned, and got the role. And that's how he became Julian Groves. This whole scene, this is filmed on Venice Beach in California. I don't believe that this building is here anymore. I think it was torn down. I can't seem to find it. But Venice Beach, California. And at the time, Tony lived near Venice Beach, so he was actually able to walk to the set these couple days that they were filming here, which he said was just a nice treat. Here's Gail Edwards, who played Flannery Rowe in the episode. Another accomplished guest actress on a lot of different series. Not even just guests. She had some series roles as well. She was in Blossom for a couple years, Night Court, of course Full House, and the sequel Fuller House, Touched by an Angel, Benson, obviously Knight Rider, MASH, Happy Days. So very accomplished actress. Plays the role perfectly here. And don't you just miss the days of roller skates, Walkmans, leggings? Take me back to the 80s. So Michael pulls into the Hillsdale Tennis Club. According to Harvey Laidman, this is actually the Toluca Lake Tennis Club. Now, we looked at the Toluca Lake Tennis Club. It's still around today. It looks nothing like this building. And we did some history on Toluca Lake and Tennis Club, and still we're not 100% sure that that's exactly where this was, but Harvey Laidman seems to think that's where it was, and he was the director, so he would know. But he said it was a very exclusive club, and it was very close to the studio, and the studio was looking to expand more outside of the back lot onto real locations, so they filmed during the week when it was less busy. Here's your lack of white wire alert. We have a nice straight piece of gaff tape there. And I think a little bit of dirt on the headliner. Someone better clean that. Here we meet Armand, played by Marshall Teague. Marshall is actually a retired U.S. Navy and a former deputy sheriff. And he's still acting today, but he's appeared in just a million different productions over the years. He was in Walker, Texas Ranger, Babylon 5, Star Trek Voyager, Renegade, Tales from the Crypt, Baywatch, MacGyver, and a whole bunch of other ones. So here's his first appearance in Knight Rider. Well, first and only appearance in Knight Rider. So we get a good look here at Flannery's gremlin. And for those of you asking, I don't think this is the same red and white gremlin that we've spotted throughout the series. And the reason I think that is because that was probably a crew member's vehicle, and they're not going to repaint a crew member's vehicle for an episode. So chances are that they were two different vehicles. Could be wrong, but chances are they're two different vehicles. One other thing to note, this Canoga Park Bowl, look at that sign right there. So I think the location of this bowling alley has changed over the years, but this sign still exists. So take a look at this closely. We see a crown at the top, the sign right here, the bowl with the downward pointing arrow, and then there's another sign below it. Take a look at this. There it is today. So what they did was, you can see they've repainted it, and it's now Winnetka, but the bowl's still there. So I think they kind of rebranded, maybe moved locations, but kept the sign just for historical purposes, which I think is really cool. This whole chase between Michael and Flannery, Michael is driving, Flannery's chasing him, and he turns down this road, pulls into this driveway, and then Flannery gets stuck in this cul-de-sac, and then he backs out and pins her in. This is Drake Place in Winnetka, California. So if we take a look here, look at this sidewalk, see how it curves around. We see these two trees here. We see this garage and a fence. Take a look at this. So there we go. So there's where it all happened today. Drake Place, 6521 Drake Place. So there's the sidewalk, there's the trees are still there, there's that garage with the fence. So KITT pulls in here, Flannery comes down here, gets stuck here, KITT backs out and spins around right there. Officer Kirby. Here's that red Camaro that we saw in previous episodes, and just to prove that Flannery's gremlin is not the red and white gremlin, take a look back here. There's the red and white gremlin, just peeking out a little bit. And if we look through the window of this VW, you can see some of the white stripes there. So definitely not the same gremlin. Michael leaving the police station in the back up to the hero car, round steering wheel, sticker dash, no pods. Here's a close-up of the file that Michael finds in Flannery's office, showing Julian and Connie Chasen with a check here, City Trust and Savings Bank, Flannery Row, 500 by Linda Groves. All looks good. March 10th, 1983. So this is before the episode aired, which technically, if we're in real time, that would be correct, right? Because this is surveillance that Flannery has been doing for a little while now. The episode aired April 29th of 83. So what, like 7 weeks after this? That's probably about right. While Michael is looking at that file, Armand comes in and just smacks him. And look at how Michael passes out. He's on his back, his arms are limp, head back, and then we see the close-up, and now he's, head to the side and against the window. So, Lauri O'Brien played Julian's wife, Linda, and she is also an accomplished actress. She's mainly known for her voice work. She's done a lot of cartoons, actually. She was the voice of Miss Piggy in The Muppet Babies from 1984 to 1991. And she's just done a lot of other voice acting as well as live and in person, but she's probably best known for that. And here we have a good close-up of Angel Tompkins, who played Connie Chasen in this episode. Interestingly, her name is misspelled in the credits as Tompkins without the P in it. She reappears again in Custom KITT in the second season as the lady who tries to steal KITT and succeeds in a way. In 1991, she was elected as a secretary for the Screen Actors Guild, and then she ran a few unsuccessful attempts to become president of the guild in 95 and 96 and 99. And who did she lose out to in 1999? William Daniels. So here's Tony Dow inside of Delton Micronics trying to be talked down by Connie Chasen, talk his nerves down. And then, so that's Tony Dow, and then leaving the building, I don't know who that is, but that's not Tony Dow. Dressed the same, but not Tony. Apparently needed a stunt double to walk out of the building. Michael pulls back into the Hillsdale Tennis Club, another spotting of that red Camaro right there. That's going to be our new red Gremlin, I guess. Here's our appearance of our Mons SUV, and again, if you've watched our previous episodes, this is the same truck that's been used in a number of episodes already. It was used in the prior one, Night Moves, as Sheriff Winston's police truck, and it was used in the Topaz Connection as the vehicle that Paul Debrett uses at the end with Lauren Rice, and it'll be used again in Big Iron in season 2. And that truck isn't the only thing that was reused from the Topaz Connection. So is this famous jump over the creek bed right here. And this is supposed to be a driverless kit, but of course Jack Gill is in here just like he was for the Topaz Connection, and we still see Michael's black leather jacket flying out of the window. One thing that is neat, though, is we see this landing and we see a couple extra frames of it in this episode, enough to show us the camera. One of the cameras right here on the edge of the frame. Isn't that cool? And then we see the wheel of some of the a crew truck, something like that. But here's a nice point of view shot from inside of Armand's SUV, and we get a nice look at KITT being blind driven with the fake PMD seat. A couple more episodes and we'll see the replacement seat, so stay tuned for that. But this is just kind of almost the seat suit, and we see the giant bulge behind the seat with a flap here for to hide the stunt driver's arms, so he would just reach out underneath this flap, grab the wheel, and pretend to drive. Or not pretend to drive, he would actually drive. So now we get this nice shot of Julian and Linda Grove's home. This is located on Valley Heart Drive in Studio City, California. There's then. That's a screenshot from the show. Here it is now. What's neat is I have a neat story about this house. So my first time to Universal Studios was in 2011, and we had just left the studio after a meeting with someone, and we were driving around. We had happened to cross the street. This house is mere like a block. So this is where the house is, and if we zoom out just a little bit, this is Universal Studios right here. So you can see that this house is just literally across the street from Universal Studios. So we were driving around after we left Universal, and we ended up on this road, not even realizing that that's where we were. And I remember driving down this road and thinking, boy, this looks awfully familiar. And we were in the middle of a conversation, and I turned and said, oh, there's the house from Nobody Does It Better. And sure enough, it was. So what's really neat is if you ever get a chance to visit this area, everywhere you turn, you'll recognize, especially if you're a big fan of Knight Rider, you'll recognize filming locations. It's amazing how much they utilized just within like a 1 to 2 mile radius of the studio, how many filming locations. So that's my story about the Groves house. Here's the backup to the hero car, the one we just saw being blind driven. Now it's being Michael driven, and still got the squared off overhead. We still have the rear view mirror mounts, which these will go away too in the second season. They kind of did a refresh of all the cars. And we can see the headliners kind of pulling down and some gaff tape. So it's starting to, it's showing age. So they're going to clean these up in between season 1 and season 2. You'll see. Also, to the backup to the hero car, they neglected to put in a couple of the turn signal bulbs. And as a result, we see just this odd looking taillight pattern on the backup to the hero car. Here's the flivver car, the doom-buggied chassis jump car. We can see that, again, you can kind of see daylight through, and you can see that it's, just a shell of a Trans Am. There's another great view of it right here. In the bloopers reel, we actually see the landing of this jump from a different angle. and the whole car just kind of wobbles and flexes. It's actually pretty interesting to see. This, I believe, is Andy Gill, Jack Gill's brother. And see, we see the landing here, but then they were also filming it from the front over here. And like I said, when it lands, the whole body just wobbles. And here's a look at that 6th Trans Am, the hardtop car. Note how we've got 83 style seats back in it. You know, in the previous episode, we saw those 83 seats were in the jump car. Now they're back in this hardtop car. So once again, just swapping parts left and right. Still the hardtop car coming around a bend. You can still see the 83 style headrest seats. We've got the squared off overhead. And once more, there's another view. Still the hardtop car. There's your seat belts. No tow bar, rear view mirror mount. And then KITT takes flight with the roll caged acrylic window jump car. If we look real close, we can see the roll cage inside there. Looks like, I don't know if this is an exhaust pipe. Something broke off the bottom during takeoff here. But notice the license plate is not here. The white you see here is actually double-sided foam tape, which they were known to do. They would tape a lot of these plates on in addition to bolting them on. Sometimes they wouldn't even bolt them on. They would just double-side tape them. But that's what those 2 white streaks you see here. And as we zoom out, there's the plate right there, complete with frame. It actually looks like the plate and frame are separating there. And move forward again. There's the plate right there, flying off. And we can see that this pipe or whatever this is still hanging on there. And of course we move to the other side, another angle, and we can see here, if you watch this, KITT's rear tire just hits the lights of the towing truck and breaks them off. And of course there's that pipe still under there. And then KITT lands, spins around, and heads off in the other direction. This is a new Trans Am for this episode and for the series. So this would be the 7th car that they had. So this one is a T-top. We can see it's a T-top car. No overhead console. We've got PMD seats. There's no tow bar underneath. We've got a seatbelt over here. We've got the clear rear hatch. We have a stock dashboard, which you can't see in this specific scene. And 6 fog lights on each side. So this is most likely another train wreck car that they've now put into service. And for the final scene, we have Devin receiving a gift of Pac-Man. This is actually the mini Pac-Man arcade game from Coleco, released in 1981. We can see the boxes even here. You can still find these on eBay. They run, it depends, $100, $200, depending on condition. So if you want one, head over there to get one. And so concludes our look at Nobody Does It Better. Tune in next time for our season finale, the breakdown of the final episode of Season 1, Short Notice. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peake himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. Look at you guys scrolling up the screen to my right. Wait a minute, how can you tell which side is my right since you can't see me because I'm not on camera? Oh well, you know what I mean. We're featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.